we begin with our next lesson. Again, a very nice story, and I'm sure you will enjoy it, but it has a very deeper meaning. Should wizard hit mommy? Now here, there's a question mark. A little about the author. John Updike. Do not get the spellings wrong. Sometimes we do get a half a mark question about the author and about the name of the story. So John Updike, March 18, 1932 to January 27, 2009. He was an American novelist. Here you may get a question. American novelist, poet, short story writer, art critic, literary critic. Okay. Now what we are remembering from here? One is John Updike, other is American novelist, and the third thing you try to remember is Pulitzer Prize. He has won Pulitzer Prize for fiction more than once. And then he has published many novels, more than a dozen short story collections, poetry, literary criticism, and children's books. All right. Now, the 2-3 things that you're going to remember from this story about John Updike. One, John Updike, American novelist, and has won Pulitzer Prize. Now we move on to the summary now. Should wizard hit mom? Should this magician, should he hit the mother? This is where the story is. It's written by John Updike and revolves around the conflicting views. This is the main theme of your lesson. Should wizard hit mommy? The theme is the conflicting views of a child and a parent on the child's future. Parents express their own expectations. They desire that their children should grow as per their expectations. This is the theme of your story. Should wizard hit mommy? However, children have their own ambitions, they have their own thinking, and they have their own perceptions towards situations. But parents try to overpower them. Jack is the father. Now he used to tell his little daughter Jo. Name of the daughter is Jo. Father is Jack. Now he used to tell him bedtime stories, and when she grew a little older, she became inquisitive, the way small children get inquisitive when they grow up. They want to know why this happened and why that happened. So similarly, even this girl, when she had turned 4, she would interrupt her father in between and she would ask him questions. For some time, Jack was not able to invent new stories. They were all his creation. They were all from his own mind. Thus, the basic storyline always remained the same. The basic steps of the story remained the same. Only one change he would do. He would change the hero in the story. One thing he did was, the name of the hero always remained Roger. Now, if he was telling the story of a fish, the name of the fish in the story would be Roger Fish, Roger Squirrel, Roger Chipmunk. Then the hero, a small animal known as Roger, meets an owl with his problem. Now the owl directs Roger to the wizard who solves the problem. This is the basic story. This is the basic story. Who solves the problem with his magic wand. Roger would feel good. He played along with animals of the woodland, and when his father would return from Boston, the sound of the train whistle would be an indication that his father had come home. He would return back home, they would have their supper, and the story would end on a happy note. Joe had grown up. listening to these stories. Now, one day, her father, being a Saturday, and story. On Saturdays, he told his daughter stories during the afternoon for Saturday naps and every day in the evening. Now, being a Saturday, the girl was very excited about the story. Now, he started with the story of skunk. Now, when the daughter told him, all right, tell me the story about a skunk. So he thought probably the teacher at the nursery school must have talked about skunks. So now his creativity, his mind starts to work. And he starts the story. There was a small creature named Roger Skunk. And this Roger Skunk would smell awfully bad. He used to smell so bad that no other creature would play with him. He would stand in a corner and cry. Now this girl, Jo, was listening to the story so intently that Jack saw a tear roll down from her eye. Then, as per the basic story, Roger Skunk went to the owl. Owl listened to his problem and then directed him to the wizard. And the wizard, with his magic wand, made him smell like roses. Now this girl, Jo, was very concerned about Roger Skunk's problem. So when the wizard had solved the problem with his magic wand and he demanded 7 pennies for changing the smell, and he had only 4 pennies, Roger Skunk. But then wizard also had the solution to the problem. He directed him to the magic well, from where he brought the remaining 3 pennies, made the payment and was very happy, returned to the forest and played many games. He played hockey, lacrosse, football, and very happy. Now Jo has been listening to the story all these years, and she knows that this story is coming to an end. So she starts to look out of the window. Jack was a male chauvinist. He did not like this attitude of his daughter. He says, Jo, are you listening? She says, yes, Daddy. And then he brings a twist in the story. Now the twist in the tale is that, as per the basic stories, Roger Skunk would return home when his daddy would come back, and they would have supper and the story would end. But this time, it had a very different ending. Roger Skunk is smelling like roses. He's very happy. And Jo is also very happy that this poor fellow with whom nobody used to play has finally got his good smell. Now Roger Skunk, when he returns home, Mommy is shocked. She says, who's this smelling so awful? Roger said, it's me, Mommy. I smell like roses. She's so angry. Who did it? How dare anybody changes your smell without my permission? You come back right with me. And she takes her son to the wizard. Now Jo is unable to bear it. He says, Daddy, but what about other creatures, other animals, So here Jack wants to convince his daughter that parents know better than their children and they can guide them in a better manner. Now Mommy Skunk, she goes, she hits the wizard on his head with the umbrella and demands and instructs him, tells him, return my son's original smell. And the wizard returns Skunk's original smell. Now he's once again smelling bad. He was very upset because she was very concerned about him. And she tells Daddy now, tomorrow when you tell me, say this, that it was skunk who had hit, it was a wizard who had hit the mommy. Because she is a cruel mother, according to Joe. She is depriving her son of his happiness. But Jack is adamant, not ready to listen. He says, Mommy skunk hugged Roger skunk and said, now you smell like my little baby. And then there's another theme here, is that it's about acceptance. The other creatures, the other woodland animals accept skunk with his original smell. What does it indicate out here? That we must not change if under peer pressure. We should retain our originality. What is your original smell, original character? That must remain with you. It must not change according to peer pressure. But Joe is not happy about it, and father has to go help his wife. Her name is Claire. She is 6 months pregnant. She is painting the furniture downstairs. He knows that I have to make my daughter fall off his feet, go down, help my wife. But the daughter is very upset now. She's not ready to sleep. But then he tells her to lie down, and he comes down. But the girl is so disturbed that he could hear the footsteps, and from downstairs he shouts, Joe, go to sleep, otherwise I will come up and spank you. So those steps, there's no sound, but now he is disturbed. Now his wife, how does she complain? She said it was a long story. He said, the poor child. Now this lady who was painting the furniture, and the furniture, those railings which were lying half ivory and half tan, he felt he was caught in an ugly middle position. One side he felt he was in a cage with his wife, where he did not feel like talking to her, touching her or anything. The other world was a world of Joe, the wizard. So he felt he was not able to convince his daughter with his story. So he was caught in an ugly middle position. Now see, however, Skunk's mother wanted him to get back to the original smell. He took him back to Wizard. Joe was unhappy and desired that the Wizard should hit the mom. However, Jack defended the mother's action. Then there was another thing in the beginning when Roger skunk. Other woodland animals used to tease him, Roger stinky skunk. Now when Jack was telling this story, he recalled his own childhood humiliation. This again, you must remember in your story. Now, that was the summary. Next, we move on to your questions. Extract-based, extrapolation, then inference. All these need to be attempted properly, correctly, without any mistake. Now we begin with the extract-based questions. I'm reading out the extract